Hey, this is Judson from the REI Minute. We're doing a very special show today. So many people have asked us questions about how they're going to invest today if they don't have a ton of cash and can't get a mortgage. So we thought we'd do something very different and do our very first video interview with my friend, real estate investor and professional guinea pig, Don DeRosa. How you doing, Don?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Hopefully, we'll keep our fingers crossed that this is working. One thing I do have to say before anything, Don and I are actually much better looking in person. Part of it is the Skype video that's messed up. Well, Don, let me...
The camera adds, a couple dozen pounds.
In about 15 years.
Yeah, that's
we're
right.
both 22. I'll tell you what, let me ask you a question because we get email questions all the time about this. For folks that want to invest or maybe have been investing for a little while now, and they're running into a situation, especially when it comes to financing, maybe they've got 4 mortgages or so and they can't get another one, or nowadays you need like 20% down to buy a house through a bank, and they can't do that. Why do you recommend using subject to investing to sort of work around those issues?
Well, the bottom line really is subject to is a very, very powerful technique. And for those of you who don't know what it is, it's where someone gives you the deed to their home, where somebody would just give you the deed. Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds too good to be true, but people do it all the time.
Right.
And one of the main reasons it's one of my favorite techniques is because it takes very little money to control a large piece of real estate. For example, if you've got a house worth 140 and somebody owes 100,000,
mm-hmm.
you can take over that loan subject to the existing financing, so you don't have to go out and get $100,000. All you may have to do is maybe bring up some back payments.
Of course.
And they may only be 1 or 2 payments behind. So if their payment's like $600 or $800, you may only have to come up with a couple $1,000s. Well, that's much easier to find from a private lender standpoint or a private individual, mm-hmm. than it is to come up with someone that has, say, 100 or 105 to do that same deal. So I really like the subject to technique because you can control properties very easily.
Yeah, it is a lot easier, and people say that all the time. My friends don't have $150,000 to give me, but I bet you almost every IRA out there has $5,000 in it.
Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing you can do is, we teach classes on private lending and how to get private individuals. Mm-hmm. But, when you start looking at this market, several years ago it was easy to find a subject to deal. Mm-hmm. Very easy to do. People weren't upside down, so to speak, on their loans. Nowadays, even, it's just as easy to find an REO that you can buy at a really, really cheap price than it would be a subject to. A subject to is a great way to do it, though, because you can control a very high-end home for a small amount of money.
Yeah, it's a great thing. Now, let me ask, when we're talking about controlling the home as far as exit strategies, do you have to hold a subject to property long-term as a rental, or can you get them under control and then retail them with a flip?
You pretty much get in and out as quickly as you want. I mean, because when somebody sells you their home subject to the existing financing, mm-hmm. that's what we term it subject to. When they sell it to you, they're giving you they're conveying the title to you. So they're writing the deed, they're signing over the deed to you. The minute they do that, you have full ownership of that property. You own the property. You get the appreciation, the depreciation, you get the rent. You get everything that you would get, let's say, even on your personal home, when you get the deed, mm-hmm. you get the same benefits. The only thing different is you don't have to go down to the bank and borrow the money because the money's already in place. And that's the biggest benefit of a subject to transaction, because you don't have to go down to the bank. And I hear a lot of people say, well, that means you're not responsible for the loan. Well, your name may not be on that loan, right. But let me tell you, you are responsible. Because when you sit down with the homeowner and you tell them that you're going to make their payments, you need to do that.
That's right. That's part of being ethical about it, because
right.
They're in a tough situation. You don't want to make things tougher by entering in the deal and don't do anything with it.
That's right. Yeah. So, yeah.
That makes sense. Now, here's a question that I guess people don't ask. They always ask all these subject to questions. But let's say somebody's out there already investing and they're getting phone calls coming in from people in pre-foreclosure and that kind of thing. how do they know when that call comes in? Maybe they got a little questionnaire sheet they run off of. How do they know when they find out about the deal if this is a potential subject to candidate?
Well, there's in any deal, whether it's subject to or any deal, when you're, as you're, ramping up your career as a real estate investor, there's really four things you need to take into consideration.
Okay.
Number one, you need to take in your purchase expenses. And what I do is I just have a little software that I use that I developed, but it takes into consideration four little things. It takes purchase expense. What's it gonna cost you to get purchases? Are they behind? Is there any back taxes owed? What's their underlying mortgage? What's your closing fees from a purchase standpoint?
Okay.
Then you take into consideration your rehab costs. How much is it going to cost you to fix it up? Then you take into consideration how long are you going to hold it? What's your utility bills? Are you going to be paying the taxes while you own it if it's not escrowed? Right. And then what are your selling costs? Once you've identified those four areas, then I tell you to look at what your net profit is. And what I tell people is follow these three simple rules.
Okay.
Your net profit should never go below $20,000.
Okay.
That's not because I want you to be rich or take advantage of someone. That's to protect you.
Okay.
I mean, I do want you to be rich, but that's not the main reason to do that.
Right. Okay.
Okay. The second number is loan-to-value ratio, or I'm sorry, return on investment. And I tell people, your number should not drop below 24%. Return on investment, or 25%, because when it does that, you typically are spending a lot more money on a deal. Even if your profit is $100,000, if you drop below 25% return on investment, that means you're spending an awful lot of money to make that $100,000.
Yeah.
And that's not good. And then the last piece is loan-to-value ratio. If you're taking over something subject to you should never go over 80% loan-to-value ratio.
Okay.
If you're buying something all cash, you probably shouldn't go over 70%.
Okay.
So those are the numbers, and they all three need to hit what I call the green lights.
Okay.
They all need to hit. Two of them can't be green and one of them red.
Okay.
The deal doesn't go. They all have to be green.
Got it. So you don't want to be lying to yourself and say, well, makes it most of the way, and I can probably make it better somewhere along the way, because probably what you're going to do is make your pocketbook lighter.
That's right. Don't try to fit that square peg in the round hole.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, you gave us a lot of stuff as far as what to do with subject twos and identifying good deals and stuff, but I know from experience, because I've worked with you and you taught me how to do subject twos, it's not just something you walk in and just do. You can't grab a $19 book at the bookstore and all of a sudden be doing subject twos every day. So what's a good resource for education for them?
Well, you can always go to my site if
Okay.
you want. Now, do you want to send them to my site, or you want to send them to yours?
Well, if you want, we've got the teleseminar we did with you. That'd probably be a good one if we go there. For that one, it's just go to the REIminute.com and click on Archive Seminars, and you'll see that one there says Don Drouas is subject to, so that makes it easy to get to.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way. I mean, we have a great course that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally 3 days worth of information. It's over 24 hours worth of information. We give you all the forms. We tell you how to do it step by step. And if you've known me at all, and you do, you've been to my stuff, I connect all the dots for you.
Yeah, you do.
So that's the benefit, really.
Yeah, I know you got everything in there from one of my favorite things, and you did this before it was even cool to do it, which was you took your forms and your contracts, and you got videos in there showing how to fill out the form and what to put in there, that kind of thing. It really gets rid of a lot of fear.
That's a really cool point, because a lot of times people will put a blank form and a filled out one and have you say, okay, go figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I take it a little step further, and I put a little video and I tell you, how to do it. And I actually explain every paragraph as I write them.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's a great feature.
Yeah. Well, Don, we appreciate you coming on the REI Minute today and sharing your subject to knowledge. We're going to have you come back sometime, too, and do some private money stuff, because you've got that lined up also.
Yeah, that'd be great. I always enjoy coming on your show.